James O'Keefe, once again embarrassing CNN. Apparently, a CNN staffer went on 5 Tinder dates with a spy from Project Veritas, according to Mediaite. Say James O'Keefe's Project Veritas has just released new secretly recorded footage on Tuesday that reveals CNN employees describing how the network worked to support Joe Biden's campaign during the 2020 election. Shocker. CNN technical director Charlie Chester played the video's starring role. Here is some of Charlie Chester talking about the role of CNN in the 2020 election.
They've already announced inner office that once the public will be open to it, we're going to start focusing mainly on climate, like global warming, and like that's going to be our next like I don't know, like what's the word I'm looking for? It's going to be our focus. Our focus was to get Trump out of office, right? Without saying it, that's what it was, right? So our next thing is going to be for climate change awareness.
They're just, and of course, this is all obvious. This is all obvious. I mean, it's clear that CNN is a propaganda outlet. We've all known this for a long time. It's just that they lie. And then when you call them on it, they're like, how dare you? They get Brian Stelter on reliable sources yelling about Fox News or something. Okay, the most damning portion of the video is that opening supercut. The footage didn't make the identity of Chester's conversational partner clear, though a rack of liquor bottles is clearly pictured behind him in one scene. Chester said that his role is one step down from director, though the role of technical director has no input on the contents of any programming, but he has suggested there was sort of internal communication suggesting what the mission was. Chester says, quote, Trump his hand was shaking, he was losing it. He's unfit, we were creating a story there, I think that's propaganda. Apparently he was talking there, you would imagine, about the Trump picking up a glass of water with both hands. We had nothing else to run with at that time. We were like just taking shots off about just hoping something would hit, you know? His conversational partner, a woman, tells him at one point she has a confession about her concerns with Biden. She says, I guess I have a confession. I worry about Biden and his health, I guess. Yeah, I just want to take care of him, make sure he's okay. Chester said that was precisely the kind of concern the network worked to assuage during the campaign. Chester said the whole thing of him running, showing him jogging, was obviously a deflection of his age. They're trying to make it like, okay, I'm healthy. He said we'd always show shots of him jogging, like I'm healthy and blah, blah, blah. Chester also said he'd be okay with it if Kamala Harris became president. Chester said, I had so many arguments about my dad would be like, you're voting in Kamala Harris because he's going to die in the presidency. And I'm like, he's not going to effing die, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. She could probably be a real B-word in like a board meeting and you'd hate her as a boss, but she's effing real and better than what we got regardless. So also, he basically acknowledged openly that they craft their coverage around narrative.
If the agenda, say, is to get like Matt Gaetz right now, he's like this Republican, he's a problem for the Democratic Party because he's so conservative, right? And he can cause a lot of hiccups in passing of laws. So it would be great for the Democratic Party to get him out. So we're going to keep running those stories to keep hurting him and make it so that it can't be buried and just settled outside of court and just if we keep pushing that, it's helping us. That's propaganda. It's helping us in some way.
Okay, but here is the thing. Most journalists don't even have the insight that Charlie Chester, the CNN technical director, does. Margaret Sullivan, who writes an awful column for the Washington Post in which she basically just pretends that partisan journalism is in fact objective journalism. She has a piece today in which she says, ask almost any group of journalists to name the core values of their profession, and they'll probably deliver a list like this. Oversight. We're the watchdogs keeping an eye on government officials and other powerful people and institutions. Transparency. We believe it's best to put information out in the open, not keep it hidden. Factuality. It's crucial to provide as much accurate information as possible to get to the truth. Spotlighting wrongdoing. We think society's problems are best solved by exposing them to public criticism, giving a voice to the voiceless. It's our job to advocate for those lacking power or social standing. These ideas are so ingrained, we have adopted certain aphorisms to express them. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. Comfort the afflicted, and inflict the comfortable. We cancel each other. Okay, but here is the problem. They are liars. Just like all self-reported surveys, if you ask people, how often do you exercise? People always answer that they exercise a lot more than they actually do. If you ask people how wonderful they are, they will always tell you they are unbelievably great. Journalists may say that they care about oversight and keeping an eye on government officials. Meanwhile, they're just like, why are we even asking tough questions of Joe Biden? We should stop this. Transparency. that they believe it's best to put information out in the open. Weird, because I seem to remember this Hunter Biden story where y'all cheered on full-scale suppression of an actual story. Factuality? You have to give as much information as possible to get to the truth? Weird, because I see like stories every single day where you don't give as much information as possible, particularly when it comes to policing. Spotlighting wrongdoing? You think that society's problems are best solved by exposing them to public criticism? Weird, because you were defending Andrew Cuomo all of last year, giving a voice to the voiceless. Well, it seems like mostly you care about giving a voice to the people you want to give a voice to and shutting everybody else up. But put that aside, according to Margaret Sullivan, our values can be a turnoff for the general public. It suggests that journalists who want to reach the broadest audience and have the greatest impact should consider changing the way they think about their present work. The study, A New Way of Looking at Trust in Media, is from Media Insight Project. It builds on research led by social psychologist Jonathan Haidt. Researchers asked participants how much they support the values I mentioned above, transparency, factuality, but kept it in the abstract without specifying a focus on journalism. The results indicate that only 1 out of the 5 core values touted by journalists shares the support of a majority of Americans. About 7 in 10 people support the idea that we should pursue facts that get us closer to the truth. The value drawing the least support is that the good way to make society better is to spotlight its problems. Only about 3 in 10 agree. Well, that is at least partially understandable, considering that maybe the way to make a good society better is to uphold its strengths as well as spotlighting its problems. Maybe a lot of people see your spotlighting its problems as a way of tearing down the system, which is what you guys overtly say you want to do. Only about 1 in 10 Americans fully support all 5 of the journalism values tested. People who prize loyalty and authority are much less likely than others to see the need for a watchdog over the powerful. People who put a high value on fairness are more likely to think society should amplify the voices of those lacking power. So, of course, this means that the real reason that people don't trust the media is because it is the people who are wrong. We cannot be bad at any of this. It is the people who are wrong. Or alternatively, you suck at this. And all the things you say you prize, you don't actually prize. And the American people know it. I hope you enjoyed that clip from The Ben Shapiro Show. If you did, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you stay up to date on all of our future content.